Hello from Inside Drug Discovery. This video presents a drug, Baxfendy, which was recently approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. This video emphasizes the medicinal chemistry properties of the drug from a drug discovery perspective rather than its clinical benefit in patients. Baxfendy was approved on May 15th, 2026. Baxfendy is approved for the treatment of hypertension, high blood pressure, in patients who are currently taking other drugs for the same purpose. The API in Baxfendy is baxdrostat. The drug is administered orally once per day in a 2 milligram dose, a very modest dose. The sponsor for the NDA is AstraZeneca. A link to the prescribing information insert of Baxfendy is shown on this slide as well as in the video description. Baxfendy is to be taken by patients who are taking other antihypertensive drugs. What are these other drugs? According to clinical trial information included in the prescribing information insert, other antihypertensive studies with Baxfendy include diuretics, which were taken by 100% of trial participants, either an ACE inhibitor or angiotensin receptor blocker taken by 90% of patients, a calcium channel blocker taken by 70%, a beta blocker 34%, or some other antihypertensive, just 17%. The insert states that 41% of patients were taking 3 medications in addition to Baxfendy. And I think these numbers may show that 41% is an understatement. The drug target for baxdrostat, the API in Baxfendy, is aldosterone synthase, also known as CYP11B2. I sometimes revert into thinking that CYPs are only relevant as enzymes that break down xenobiotics, but the majority of CYPs play vital roles in biosynthesis, especially steroids, including aldosterone. Baxdrostat's Ki for human CYP11B2 is 11 nanomolar, which is a quite respectable potency. Baxdrostat shows approximately a 100-fold selectivity for CYP11B2 over CYP11B1, and therefore the compound is able to inhibit the production of aldosterone without overly impacting the levels of cortisol. Here are the physicochemical properties of baxdrostat. Although the compound is modestly sized, its good potency based on its Ki gives a ligand efficiency of about 0.4 kcals per mole per heavy atom, which is reasonably high for an approved drug. When we look at pharmacokinetics, we see that baxdrostat has a nice long half-life, which facilitates once per day dosing. The bioavailability is essentially complete at 98%. With many oral drugs, clearance, as total clearance, is approximately equal to hepatic clearance, which is to say that renal clearance is essentially zero. With baxdrostat, renal clearance is a reasonable contributor at 0.46 liters per hour. That piece of data will be relevant on the next slide. Baxdrostat is primarily metabolized by CYP3A4 to form a ketone. The ketone arises from oxidation at this carbon bearing the amide nitrogen. The ketone is subsequently reduced to an alcohol. Baxdrostat and its metabolites undergo excretion. Most oral small molecules are excreted via the feces, but baxdrostat, with its appreciable renal clearance, has a larger presence in urine, with a decent fraction being unchanged drug. Keep in mind, however, that despite the contributions from renal clearance, the half-life of baxdrostat is still relatively long at over 24 hours. The safety concerns for Baxfendy are modest. The only warnings and precautions in the prescribing information are hyperkalemia and hyponatremia. Both these warnings are directly related to the mechanism of action of baxdrostat and its reduction of aldosterone levels. The risks, however, may be increased by the fact that Baxfendy is being taken with other antihypertensives. The only adverse reaction observed in at least 5% of patients was hyperkalemia. That concludes this summary of the NDA approval of Baxfendy, which was announced by the U.S. FDA on May 15th of 2026. Baxfendy contains baxdrostat as its active pharmaceutical ingredient. Baxfendy is approved for treatment of hypertension in patients who are already being treated with other antihypertensives. Thank you for your time and attention. If you have enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Take care.